there's a light conditioning that we can do with our forearms. If you take the palms of your opposite hand and run along the inside bone and the outside bone, just back and forth, and don't think about hitting hard. Just let the weight of your arm drop into the other arm. We're not going to crash in two-dimensionally anytime we block or move our arms. We're going to twist and rotate so that we have as much surface area hitting the kakiya as we can. That way we'll lessen injury, and we get to spread out the force of what goes into our body. Does that make sense? If you're familiar with, I'm sure most martial arts styles have upper defense or jodan. We have chudan, and we have geidan. All right. So what we're going to start with is jodan. I know that if your kakiya only goes so high, we're just going to have to roll around. So instead of going up, you might start with the thumb side and roll to the pinky side. So I'm here and I roll. Here and I roll. Because if you're familiar with kakiya practice, the idea is to stay connected to the arm. I pull and hit, or I push and hit, right? I somehow control this limb while I'm striking or off balancing. Right? And then it'll make a continuous drill. Good. Good. Two, three. And I use my weight change. And go. And I turn my hip into the straight. Keep control of the limb. Trying to add a little bit of shift into it while I'm moving. Getting coordination to move fast. And if I have my guard up, their idea is to try to touch my shoulder. So I don't let them touch my shoulder. And then their job is to try to touch my side. So I don't let them touch my side, and I'm keeping connected the entire time. Their next goal might be to grab my leg. So I'm trying to control that with Gaidon. Then she might want to come around and try to touch the other side of my body or face. So I do inside defense. And then she might want to touch the top of my head. So now she's going to help me. I'm going to walk through each of these four motions. And one of the concepts that's really good to reinforce with this is the idea of replacing hands. So if I have one hand here and I'm hitting, I can give this, replace this hand, I can hit. And the most simple way to show that would be these overhand strikes. So I would do an overhand strike, I do a pressing block, and overhand strike. I can start slow because I want to control this hand. The last thing I want to do, if it has a resistance, is to hit myself in the face with it, right? So I really have to be careful with it. So I'm pressing down a little bit, hitting, pressing, hitting. And as you're going through these, you might find out that you end up in like an X block a lot in the transition. So I have like upper defense. I want to go to my other upper defense. I'm replacing hands. And in the middle of that motion is my X block. I want to do mid-level. Well, guess what? In the middle of that transition is my X block. Same thing, low. I want to transition. I have these crossing hands. And again, it's replacing hands. So I'm deflecting with this one. I'm reaching out with this one because I want to off balance if possible. I'm coming through and striking. I'm controlling here. We do that same frame. We lean in and strike, if you can see. And then I'm going to keep the pressure on this arm until I give it to this one. So how would we play with that on the dummy? Well, I orient myself on the outside edge. I do that first flinch. As I press forward, I'm going to control the limb and strike. And then I'm going to hook underneath. I have an overhook, but I'm going to come up underneath, press into the arm, and rotate around the dummy. I would pull on the arm and come across. So there's a couple different ways to experiment with this as a, well, as an actual limb, because that's what it is. It's an analog for that. I didn't want to assign any particular art to this, you know, a style of karate. I wanted it to be, you just take it and you do what you want with it. Because that's the beauty of it, is that you get to do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.